Hi, I'm Abby and I'm going to be doing a simple project today. It's really lovely. I've had lots of compliments on my sewing machine mats. They're really easy to make and they have a little difference. The difference is not only do they just house your sewing machine on there, I can push it back a little bit and use one of these dinky little irons. It's from Prym. It's a dinky little iron, but it's really useful to keep handy when you want to just press seams open. We've got our 4 layers all matched up, so make sure they're nice and equal. Now, this foil fabric, make sure the shiny side is up. The shiny side reflects the heat, so it reflects it away from our table. It's just a normal Calico. It's called Bloomer, and it's only £2 a metre. What a bargain. So you can pop down there. Ikea is great for things, isn't it? Make sure they're nice and equal on all 4 sides. And then just go crazy with the pins. Put lots of pins in this. Okay, I'm going to use the inside sewing stitch. The inside sewing stitch is about 2.5 on your machine, or if you're using this machine, we're going to use stitch number 9. So let's get on with it. So let's do that now. Now, I'm not using a walking foot. Now, don't please get complicated with walking feet. If you don't have a walking foot, don't worry about it too much. It isn't that necessary. It's a great thing to have. Yeah, if you haven't got one, just use lots of pins and take your time. Then all I need to do is just make sure I'm going to go slowly. Okay, so lots and lots of pins. Maybe even use more pins than I have. It's not an issue. Let's do this. And what we will do at the start and at the finish, we're going to sew reverse stitch. And that reinforces that stitch line so it doesn't come unravelled. Now we're just about to turn a corner. We keep our needle in, lift your press foot, and let's turn that round. Okay. Now I'm using the side of my foot as a guide, and even though the mat sticks out a little bit, I have actually cut that mat slightly bigger, but we're going to just sew around there along the side of this calico. And I'm not pulling the fabric. Even though it looks like I am, I'm actually not. I'm just holding it nice and steady. So again, we're going to leave our needle in. So leave our needle in. Turn that hand wheel only towards you. Lift that press foot up and turn. Now, I'm not quite at the side of the calico, so I'm going to carry on a little bit more. Needle down. Perfect. I'm getting a bit of a bunch there. That's okay, there's so many layers there, it's not surprising. So just lift that up and just smooth it out a little bit. So let's reinforce this edge. So like I said to you, let's zoom out a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep my finger on this reverse button and sew. So I'm going to sew to the end. I'm going to press down on the reverse and then go there. And then hand wheel towards me, get that groove up to the top, and let's take this out. Okay, so that's our 3 sides done. Let's take these pins out. So grab your little snippers. And we're just going to take away that bulk, because when we turn this inside out, we're going to end up with a lot of bulk trying to fit into this little corner. So let's get rid of some of that fabric. Okay, and we can even go in a little bit more there. Okay, and some there. And then we're going to flip it round now. We're going to flip it round with the mat on the back and our elephants at the front. So let's just pull that corner out. There we go. A nice sharp corner there. Sharp enough. And then pull this one out. And there we go. All right, so let's put that aside and let's go and make the pockets. So what I'm going to do first is finish the top edge. Now I can finish that with bias binding, or I can fold it over, which I'm going to do. So we'll just press it down a couple of times. So I'm going to press it down roughly about a centimetre down. I'm just going to fold it over twice and just press that down. So just pin that down, and then as we sew, we can pull them out when we get to the machine. Right, let's do that. Oh, let me tell you about the pins as well. If you use glass head pins, if we press that down with the pins in there, those pins will not melt. So I've got the machine set at 10, and that gives me a nice top stitch. I'm going to sew, let's take that first pin out. I'm going to sew a few stitches forward, so only about 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep that reverse button pressed down. And then we've gone all the way back to the beginning. Make sure these threads are thrown away at the back, because they get tangled up and cause a nest underneath there otherwise, if you don't. And then just carry on sewing. Now I've got my edge, this is just coincidental, I've got the edge of my fold on the edge of my foot. So wherever yours lands, just keep that level and nice and straight, and just go slow. So I'm going to help the machine, and I'm going to pull on those threads just to make sure the fabric comes to the back. So don't forget your back tack. And that back tack just reinforces our sewing. So anything between 3 and 5 stitches is what I typically do. You don't want to do too many. If you do too many, then you end up with a bulky set of sewing at the end of your sewing. So we want to finish these edges off nicely. So we're going to sew good sides together. I'll pin all this into place. So we're just sewing that all together. We're going to sew that one to the end, even though I've added a bump. And it's about ½ centimetre, that's all I've done. I'm going to have a sewing line down there for pocket and a sewing line, so I'm going to just put a bit of a bulk in that side and a bit of a bulk there under the foot. And we're going to start from the top, back tack, pull those threads, keeping nicely close to the edge. Okay, we're going to pivot round, so keep your needle down. We have to press a foot and turn. Now we could do another stitch, so let's go back. Do one more stitch. Let's have a look. Beautiful. Let's just carry on with that. Now you're going to find that your elephant's fabric is going to bump up a little bit, and we're going to form pleats, but that's okay. Let's cut that away. What I'll do is I'll make this section for the little pockets, and I'll split where that elephant was in half there, and they'll be my bigger pockets for bigger items. So I'll fold that over to that point there. And that's given me a seam there for me to sew. Add a few pockets here just to put all your bits and bobs in, like this pen. So we'll keep them sort of regularly placed. One. So it's about 3 stitches. Go back. Okay, and I'm going to go over the line. So I've gone over the pocket and I'm going to reverse. I'm reversing just that hem line and then going back just over, and I'm going to bring the hook back to the top. You see there, I've just gone over, and I'll do the same with the others. Okay, so that's all sewn down. We just need now to attach it to the main body of our mat. Okay, so good sides together. Make sure it's all matched up, all 4 layers, plus my pocket. You see, got all the layers there. My machine is not going to sew through that rubber, because that rubber will get stuck either to the machine bed, this throat area, or it's going to get stuck under the foot, whichever way I have it. So I have got some bias binding or twill tape. If you don't have twill tape, just cut a strip of fabric and fold it over. It doesn't have to be like bias binding. Fold it over, and we're going to sew it to the edge of our seam. Okay, so I'm just finishing off putting this bias tape on. I'm just going to fold the end over. It's quite tricky to do, and you need to take your time over it, so make sure you get all the layers, and then just pop it on there and just pop a pin in there. Okay, so then make sure all the layers are in and that you've made sure both sides are there and in the machine, in the bias. So we're going to the machine with this, and we're going to do a back tack. Okay, let's get that pin out, and we're going to work slowly. Now I need to use something to help me guide the machine, so use a pencil or something like the tip of a small pair of scissors to help you, because there's a lot of bulk in that machine now, and the motor on this machine isn't that powerful. The other thing you've got is the issue of the grip. Now if you're not using this gripper stuff, great, you can do this and it's not going to be a problem, but because I am, it might cause a problem. So I'm going to just help by just shoving, pushing a little bit carefully with this. Make sure my pencil's out of the way. Back tack. Okay, and let's go. So making sure my pencil is out the way, and once I'm done, you see, I can start pulling on the fabric, making sure, make sure everything's caught in there. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of that pencil out the way and just hold it nice and steady, and see how that twill tape will help the machine work on all these layers. And what I'll do is just here, I'm just going to use the tip of my scissors to help make sure I'm pressing down, so it helps get under that foot. Back tack. And whoever says this machine cannot go through 7 layers of fabric, don't know what they're talking about, because it's just done it beautifully. And that's our mat. It's done. It's done, and I'm very pleased with that. And if you've made one with me, well done to you too. Right, job done. Time for a cup of tea.